We're going to start our session today. It's the first brown bag that we've done for the health and wellness space in quite a while. We also have a dedicated Slack channel for those that are interested, and you can follow the topics discussed online, so we can share that in the chat later. I just wanted to run through just a little bit of hygiene before I introduce Danielle. If you can use that Q&A section at the bottom of the screen to add any questions, we can get Danielle to answer those at the end of the actual talk she's doing. And also there's an option in there to vote for questions. So if you want a question answered and you're quite keen on that, then please vote on those questions. We'll go through the questions after she's completed her talk, and we'll go through in priority order of votes first and foremost. So that's it for the intro. And I'll just now talk about Danielle a little bit. So Danielle is in the Evolve program, and she's coordinating that for us. She also has a BSc in psychology, an ICF accreditation in positive psychology coaching, and has recently obtained a qualification in health coaching. She's been a coach for over a year and a half and has started health coaching earlier this year. Her niche is in the gut, brain, and nervous system connections. And having been on a healing journey of the same, she facilitates others' journeys to optimal health and wellness. So without any further ado, I'll pass you over to Danielle.
Thank you so much, Carl. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for being here today. Slightly unnerving seeing all the numbers going up. It's a little bit nerve-wracking talking to so many people, but you're all lovely. I've met a lot of you, so it's all good. I'm going to share my screen now, so if you just bear with me, I will do that. Now, let me get this into slideshow mode, and I don't think I can see you after that. I think I can actually. Yes, okay, so can everybody see my screen?
Yep, I can.
Perfect, thank you so much. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about DOSE, which is an initialism, which stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And they are just some of the happy neurotransmitters, the neurotransmitters that help us to feel good in our bodies, in our brains, in our environments. And it is very, very easy to get a steady supply of all of these different neurotransmitters by just doing various things that you probably already do. I mean, for instance, breath work is one of them. We all breathe. We can't go very long without breathing. But I won't go too into depth about things like breath work. But it's as simple as that, some of the things. So let me just kick off. So as I just explained, the neurotransmitters here we're talking about, they're dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And neurotransmitters, just for anyone who's I don't know, not done chemistry or something, they are chemical messengers that send messages to different parts of the body for different reasons. And in this case, we're talking about the ones that actually help us feel good and feel well and feel optimal. So there is some crossover with these different neurotransmitters. So sometimes you could be doing an activity such as exercising or something, and you're actually getting 3 of those endorphins pumping through your body. Or sometimes you get one of, 2 while you're doing the exercise and 1 afterwards, like dopamine. So we shall kick off with dopamine. So as I'm sure you're probably already aware, we're dopamine addicts in this day and age. We are always on our phones, getting the likes and, taking pictures and seeing what other people are doing. And it's a bit of, it can get a bit out of hand sometimes. However, if channeled correctly and if channeled in the right way, dopamine can have such a profoundly healthy and good effect on the body and brain. So dopamine, what does it do? It enables motivation, learning, and pleasure. It is goal orientated, and some amino acids in foods can contribute to the production of dopamine. However, as I alluded to earlier, dopamine can be addictive, so it is important to consider how you're getting it. If you smoke cigarettes, that gives you a hit of dopamine. And likewise, if you vape, if you drink, if you So it's just, I guess, about balance. It's just knowing that you can get dopamine from elsewhere, and it can come from things that we both do that might not contribute to great health, but it's few and far between. Or we could get big surges of it from doing various things, which I will talk about in just a second. So dopamine, here are some healthy ways to get some. So as I said, it's goal orientated. So it really doesn't matter. It could be something like ticking something off a list, all the way through to achieving a huge life goal. So that could be, I don't know, reaching the pinnacle of your career, all the way through to, exercising consecutively for a whole week or something like that. Exercising is another way to get a good hit of dopamine, and even something small as 10 minutes of cardio can produce dopamine. So if you ever find yourself, waiting for the kettle to boil, or, it's nice and sunny outside and you're taking a break from your laptop, you jumping jacks for a few minutes, run around the garden, then you're going to get your dopamine pumping. Cold water exposure is something that I got into about 2 years ago, and it's just multi-beneficial for the body and the brain. And I won't go too far into that because that's a whole other session. However, it is something that does produce a lot of dopamine. So it could be anything, like I say here, to splash in your face with cold water. You could wash your hands with cold water. Studies have been done that show fishermen who get their hands in cold water regularly actually have the benefits of the vagus nerve regulation, which again, I won't go too far into. I feel a second session coming on actually, but for now, just know that it's super beneficial to have some cold water exposure. And then if you're feeling brave and you've splashed cold water on your face and you've done the washing your hands with cold water, you could, branch out. And then as part of your morning shower, you could switch the cold tap on for like 10 minutes. And my advice would be to get your neck, so here, the front and the back, and it's not submerged, but covered with the water. So you don't have to get your head under or anything like that. That's quite a shock to the system. But getting your upper chest and neck and the back area of that area too, covered with cold water for about, if you build it up to about 2 minutes, you'll be getting really strong cold water benefits, which can have a really profoundly calming effect on the body, especially when we put ourselves into actual stressful situations. We're able to cognitively process that a lot better, and our bodies don't respond as extreme. So yeah, and then if you want to be crazy about it, you could jump into the sea in the winter, which have done, and it is an experience. Reservoirs, lakes, and anything in between. So all I would say is, disclaimer, always make sure that you've done your research beforehand and it is safe to go into the water, because a lot of places like lakes have machinery at the bottom. They can pull you under, currents, currents when it comes to the sea and stuff. So just do your due diligence and just, be responsible about it, but enjoy it, because it is actually something that becomes quite addictive. Not surprising that dopamine is associated with it. Practicing gratitude. So that could be anything from, being grateful that you're alive, and you've got a life to live and air in your lungs and food on the table, all the way through to wonderful things that happen to us, like, I don't know, a baby being born, or somebody getting married, or going on a holiday. So it's just nice to be aware of all of the abundance in your life and practice gratitude. And that actually creates dopamine. Listening to music. So I'm sure everybody's felt the benefits of, listening to your favorite tunes when you're out on a walk or something, or in the gym, and it gets you all kind of pumping. So music can be really, really beneficial to producing dopamine. Meditation as well, really going kind of inward. If you're not spiritually minded, simply just focusing on the breath, the in-breath and the out-breath for a few minutes, I would say 2-3 minutes, can really center yourself and create dopamine. Getting sunlight and daylight. So this kind of goes into the circadian rhythm side of things, which again, if we're working with our circadian rhythms, we are working in harmony with our bodies. And it's actually very beneficial on our mood, on our sleep, and on the neurotransmitters such as dopamine. So daylight, I would say 5 to 10 minutes if it's really sunny outside in the morning. Morning sunlight's really quite beneficial. So 5 to 10 minutes if it's super sunny. If it's overcast, which let's face it, we're in Britain, it is a lot of the time, 10 to 20 minutes. And then as much daylight as you can get throughout the day as well will really benefit you. And then eating tyrosine-rich foods, and I always struggle to say this, but I'm going to try phenylalanine. Yeah, phenylalanine. Try and say that when you're drunk. Such as soya, legumes, turkey, eggs, full-fat dairy, and there is a whole list of other vegetables and more vegan type foods that I can share these slides after with notes, and you can have a read through that. Right, so moving on to oxytocin, so the cuddle hormone or the love hormone. So oxytocin is a chemical that is generated in us when we feel connected. So it's very tribe orientated, and that could be anything from a person all the way through to a pet. when you feel connected to another living being, you create oxytocin in the body. So it's for bonding, building intimate, trusting relationships, and you get it from feeling safe and comforted. It's very beneficial on the immune system, and it gives you a lasting feeling of calm and safety. It also helps to combat stress. So oxytocin, how do we get some of that? Well, cuddle somebody, give someone a big bear hug, as long as they're a willing participant. Any kind of skin on skin contact as well. So it's kind of like when a mother has a baby, when the baby's born, they put the baby straight on the chest. That just creates loads of oxytocin, which is really beneficial for both people. Tell someone how much they mean to you. So it could be anybody, a friend, family member, someone who you're really close with, even a colleague. You could say something cool about their work or how they tackle the problem. It will give them and you a hit of oxytocin. So what else? We've got spending time with friends or anyone you feel joyful being around. So again, this all kind of taps into our innate kind of disposition where we want to feel connected. It's just a kind of, I guess, a primitive thing in us that we want to feel connected, and that's why we get this oxytocin hit. So spending time with friends and family or people that you enjoy being around, because let's face it, some family members are difficult to be around, so the ones that you like, just the family members you like. And then acts of kindness. I know that a couple of the Evolve participants were working on something recently about random acts of kindness, which was awesome. So just an act of kindness, a simple compliment to maybe even a stranger on the street, making their day, or buying a homeless person a coffee, or leaving a book on a park bench for someone to read, something like that. And also stroking or cuddling a pet. I was on with Cornelia this morning, who I think is on this call, and she was there with her dog Knight. But Knight apparently doesn't like cuddles, so apparently it's when he comes to her. But if your pet is willing, give them a big old cuddle, because you'll be getting a hit of oxytocin, and so will they. So there you go. So serotonin. This dog actually looks quite stoned, but I think he's just happy. So serotonin stabilizes our mood. It creates feelings of happiness and well-being. And it was a kind of recent discovery in the last kind of 10 years. We realized that about 90% of our serotonin is produced in the gut, which is why a lot of the time gut issues are associated with anxiety and depression. So maintaining a healthy gut can really help. And what serotonin does is it aids optimal sleep, bodily healing, and digestion. So obviously everything that happens in the gut is to do with digestion as well, in terms of the physical mechanisms. And as I just said, anxiety and depression are linked to a serotonin deficiency. However, further research in the last few years is also linking other neurotransmitters associated with these conditions. It's just that in some people, it can be a lack of serotonin that's contributing to their condition. So how do we generate a steady supply? Well, once again, exercise rears its head. So this could be anything from cardio to strength, and anything from 10 minutes plus. So you don't have to go hell for leather with exercise. Simply, like I said, running around the garden, or walking a little bit faster than usual, or doing some really focused stretching and moving the body. Meditation, once again, very good for serotonin. It gives us a lot of well-being feelings. Like I said, yoga, stretching, daylight sunlight, sad lamp exposure in the winter, especially early. So that's especially earlier in the day. And the whole kind of science around that is that when you get daylight early in the day, you produce a chemical called melatonin. Now, that's weird because that's actually the sleep hormone, but you want to get that fired up in the morning so that by the evening, you have a full steady supply of melatonin to help you feel sleepy and restful before bed. And melatonin production actually has a direct effect on serotonin production. They work in conjunction with each other. So daylight is a real kind of superpower. If you can go out and get daylight in the day, it really helps the body. Practicing gratitude again, tryptophan foods, vitamin D, being in nature. So being in nature can actually lower cortisol levels. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and it actually counteracts that and activates serotonin release. So another interesting study that happened a few years ago was that the scientists wanted to test just how much of an impact nature has on our neurochemicals. And they had people simply sit at a screen and look at pictures of nature, so trees, leaves, things like that. And the participants' serotonin went down dramatically, so absolutely dropped. And that was simply looking at a screen of nature pictures. So you can imagine what being in actual nature does for the body. It's so multi-beneficial for us. And then earthing and grounding. So again, there's a lot of kind of chemical messengers that are in the kind of earth around us and in the air. We've got microbes everywhere that we can't see. And the earth is charged with, it's kind of like a battery. It's like called negatively charged ions. It doesn't mean they're negative. They actually have a positive effect on the human body, but it's like a battery effect. So if we stand barefoot on the earth, we are basically, so those ions are going up through our feet and into our body in a kind of invisible chemical way. And it has a lot of different benefits. And actually making contact with anything to do with the earth, like trees and plants, can be really beneficial. So like I say here, tree hugging can have great neurological effects. So go hug a tree, you know. I've started doing it recently. And yeah, I look like a mad woman, but I don't care because it makes me feel good. So now we have endorphins. So endorphins are fabulous, and they're generally associated with high energy things. So when we really get our heart rate going, you know, we're pumping some endorphins through our body. And what that does is it's a natural pain reliever. So it's probably why we can push past barriers when we're exercising or lifting weights and things like that, because the endorphins are kicking in and counteracting any kind of, oh my God, this really kills. They're also a massive mood booster. So sometimes you feel quite euphoric after really rigorous exercise. That's generally the endorphins just shooting around your body. And obviously this is all going to have a great effect on stress. So it's going to lower stress because you're so, you've kind of tipped the balance in the favor of the more positive endorphins. And just gives a general sense of well-being. You know, it can last all throughout the day. It can also, endorphins can also aid inflammation in the body. And inflammation is, you know, it's a natural response. When we eat food, that causes inflammation, very minor, and it's something the body can handle. But sometimes we can have an overproduction of inflammation because of stress, or because of, I don't know, burning out, or, you know, not getting enough sleep, or maybe working a bit too hard, you know, both in our personal and work lives. It can also aid immune responses, and they support memory and cognitive function. So how we keep those flowing, again, exercise. So you can see here that pretty much all of the dose happy neurotransmitters exercises in there. Laughing. So actually feeling joyful and laughing. So I don't know about you guys, but like sometimes I just need like 10 minutes away from the world, and I just go onto YouTube and I look at silly videos of people tripping up and falling over, or silly cats or whatever. And it just lightens me. It makes me laugh, and it brings a bit of a lightness to the day, and takes away from the, you know, sometimes what can be quite serious kind of life business. Listening to music as well does generate endorphins. Eating dark chocolate, you'll be happy to hear, for any chocolate lovers out there. Just making sure it's around the 70% plus mark, because then you're getting all of the nutrients that are associated with it. And another little thing about cacao and dark chocolate, really good for opening the blood vessels, so vasodilation, which is really good for like keeping the blood pumping around the body in a healthy way. Endorphins are also associated with dancing. So exercise, dancing, it's kind of the same kind of thing. You're raising your, you know, you're raising your vibration, you're raising your energy levels. Meditation once again, and to be honest, just anything that brings you joy. So it could be playing a musical instrument, or you know, hanging out with people you get endorphins from, you know, that you get a lot of joy from. So anything that brings you joy, prioritize it, because you're going to get a steady flow of these little bad boys. And that is it. I only wanted to kind of take you through quite a short presentation. Didn't want to do death by PowerPoint, but just to kind of give you some information on stuff that I kind of studied, and see if, you know, yeah, if you have any questions about it, or if you want to open up a discussion, or, you know, if anybody has any suggestions, please, you know, pop it in the Q&A, and Cal will manage the whole thing, I think.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Danielle. I haven't seen any questions yet, but you know, I can open up the floor. So if anybody has any questions they just want to ask, that'd be great.
Yeah, just put your hand up and we'll keep it casual. Or either that, or I've been very thorough.
I'd love to see more of these. Would really love to.
Can I ask, because I don't see myself for whatever reason, just 1 second, I did something.
Oh, that's okay, Katia. Take your time.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, in the practical way, like in your life, do you kind of just keep remembering that, you know, I must laugh, or I must go for a walk, or when you feel the deep, you actually then do that? Like, how do you actually incorporate it in your life when you don't really, you know, live with it every day?
That's a really great question. And I think that's going to be so appropriate to so many people here, because you can make something a chore and go, oh, for God's sake, I've got to do my meditation today. But for me, because of I've had a kind of physical healing journey and a mental healing journey. And the physical healing journey obviously affected the mental. It was really severe gut issues based on having to take loads of antibiotics, stripped my whole body of all that was good, all the microbes gone. And, you know, I'm talking big, white, furry, swollen tongue all the way down into my gut, just inflamed as hell. And that really affected my anxiety and that kind of thing. And what I've done through the years is I healed my gut, and that was a lot to do with nutrition as well as lifestyle and sleep and things like that. But I also felt like there was something else missing, and that piece was probably looking more at the emotional side, and like, you know, realizing that I am someone who suffers with anxiety, and you know, how can I counteract that? Because I'd had to take so much medication when my gut was in bits. It was off the back of a medical thing. I had to take lots of antibiotics. And when the doctor said, I can give you some medication for and I was like, okay, I'm not on death's door. If I am, I'll let you know, but I'm going to try and go away and just heal my body and my brain as much as I can. So it's been kind of like a 7-year journey of educating myself in nutrition and then studying it. I'd already done psychology, so I basically understood the kind of workings of the body and brain. And then it was a matter of things that I was naturally drawn to. So like yoga, you know, I started doing yoga, and then not studying it, but just becoming interested in it and thinking, well, I love yoga now, because I know it's not just a physical, well, it's actually a breathing practice, yoga. You know, yoga is about the breath, and then moving is secondary. So that seemed to calm my body down a lot. And I thought, oh, okay, this is starting to work. This is starting to calm me down on, you know, in the evening time when I usually get heightened anxiety. And then I started to look into meditation, and then I was looking into more, you know, the benefits of going for a walk, because I'd always feel better after a walk. And I'm like, why is it? Like, what is, because I always want to know the science behind something, you know, okay, great, it's beneficial, but why? You know, what's going on in my body? So over the years, I pick and choose what works for me. And all of those things I listed, I wouldn't do all of those things all of the time. So only in the last, I would say, year, I now have a morning practice of, as soon as I wake up, my phone's still off and it's still on the dresser over there. No phone, and I'm open the curtains and do a very quick body scan meditation, just do a bit of breath work, just a bit of, you know, breathing in and out, and then I do some stretches just to get the body moving. And then I'm really tempted to turn my phone on. I'm like, I want to see all my messages, and I don't because it's like discipline. And then I turn the kettle on and I go straight outside and I get my morning sunlight. And only since I made that a routine has it now become a, like, if I went like this in the morning, I'd be like, oh God, what am I doing? No, I don't like that. Mm-hmm. It's because I got myself into a habit of it. And I would say I get so many well-being feelings from being in nature, especially since I've moved to a more rural place, that I feel so connected to it that I crave it. And not everybody's going to get that, you know. Sometimes just a 10-minute walk in nature is going to do good benefits, and you're not going to feel all tree huggy and hippie like me. But, you know, that's just a journey I've been on. I've kind of evolved to this point where I'm kind of like, I am a bit happy clappy now, you know. Didn't used to be like that, but it feels good. So I guess I'm not a perfect human being. I vape, I eat chocolate, I have fizzy drinks sometimes, you know what I mean? I'm not a perfect, you know, nobody is, not even your doctor. But I feel like these mechanism things that I've talked about today, and how to generate, like, if I think, oh my God, yeah, I know what's wrong, I'm low in oxytocin, I haven't seen a bloody soul in 3 days, I need to go and work in the office, or I need to go and see a friend and give her a big hug or something. I know when I'm deficient in something, I'm really in tune with it. So sorry if that was a bit of a roundabout.
Yeah, you know, it's just interesting that, you know, most of the time they make health choice changes in their life when something quite a dramatic happening, right? And often, you know, you might live your life, you might have like a low mood, for example, And again, it just requires a bit of the consciousness to say, yeah, exactly, you know, maybe it's oxytocin, or maybe it's like, you know, yeah, maybe that would be also useful to kind of have an ideas of how to identify, isn't it, those moments where you actually just like jumping up and down. So yeah, I think it's useful. It's just a useful reminder, I think, that all of the simple things you could do actually are good for you, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Even like you say, when you're feeling like crap and it's annoying and you kind of want to feel better, but you're in a frustrated state, what I do is I pump some clubbing music on out of the speaker, right? And I like thrash about like a mad woman and just shake my hands and shake, you know, we were kind of basically, when we were born and then we went into school, we were told to sit up straight, no moving, no laughing, stop laughing, no crying, you know, hold back every human impulse you possibly have. And the way I view life now is move, convulse your bloody body if you need to, you know, release things, because stuff does get stored in the body. And then in the process, you're generating those neurotransmitters, you know. So it's kind of like, that's why I'll hug a tree now, because I think I'm kind of sticking two fingers up to like, oh no, you mustn't do weird things like that. And I'm like, no, if I'm gonna hug a tree, I'm gonna effing do it, like, you know. Or if I want to thrash about my kitchen, you know, pretending like I'm in a club.
Even breathing, isn't it? It's so fascinating how deep breath can actually change things very, very quickly, but we just don't do it because, you know, we just don't do it.
No, we breathe from up here, you know. It's like, that's the city life where it's like everything's very up here, you know. If you want to get in tune with your breath, simply sit and put your hand on your belly and just expand your belly as you breathe, and then try to elongate the out breath, because what that does is it tells the body you're safe, you're calm. And you, like you said, Katia, you can instantly change your whole mindset. Likewise with cold water, you splash your face with cold water. There's a lot of at the moment in the kind of health industry, if you splash your face with cold water, you can bring yourself out of a panic attack, you know, or dip your face into cold water. It instantly changes the chemical mechanisms, just all go, woo, what's happening? Okay, I need to do something different. Oh. And then it kind of calms things down weirdly.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Any more for any more?
I might actually make an observation. As I know, as you were talking, I was making lots of different notes around what I could be doing, and I think exercise seems to be a common theme, right? So that's great. But what I noticed during COVID was that I was not able to use a gym or anything like that, so I started doing running in the marshes behind me, and I ran with a couple of friends. And I think running outside with friends and having that social thing kind of ticked a few boxes. And we were always buzzing, right, when we finished and got back home. So, and it felt like you'd been out, you know, out all night kind of thing, you know, it was that kind of feeling. So yeah, I can relate to that. It's just trying to keep that up, right, and making sure that you do tick those boxes and are trying to do something for every one of those things there.
Yeah, absolutely, Carl. And you were getting a lot there with, you know, being around other people, you know, you have that connection, and then you've got the endorphins going and everything. It's, you know, it's really nice to do these things with other people as well. Join a group, join a meditation group, go to a yoga class, exercise with others, you know, go foraging in the woods, you know, with a group or something. Yeah, really good observation. Oh, Claire needs to run. No problem. Bye.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Cal, there's a question in the Q&A, a couple of questions in the Q&A.
Oh, great. Okay, so I hadn't noticed them coming in, sorry. Right, so how did you start the educational journey and the best way to start? That's from Mark.
Oh, okay. So in terms of the health and wellness side of things, I had a bit of a stop-starty journey. So I actually did my psychology degree as a mature student, and then I thought I wanted to be a psychotherapist, and that wasn't for me. I'm too much of an empath, and I would carry all this trauma on my shoulders. Then when I went through the gut healing stuff, I figured, oh my gosh, like the power of nutrition to heal the body is phenomenal. And then realized it wasn't just nutrition. So I started a nutrition master's, and I got about a year in, and then I got long COVID. So I was just thrown off that path completely. And then I ended up doing a coaching qualification and really looked at the coaching aspect, and then realized I don't want to be a nutritionist, actually. I just want to help people with their health. And I want to bring all of this stuff that I'm interested in into it. That was part of my journey. So what I would say to you is look at your health and wellness journey and kind of pinpoint the things that have helped you, and maybe do a bit of like maybe short courses just to see if that is your kind of, if they are your interests, or if stuff comes out of that where you're like, oh, actually it's not that, it's this thing over here that I want to study more of, and maybe do short courses. And then I eventually got to the point where I was like, I know what it is. I don't want to be a psychologist. I don't want to be a nutritionist. I don't want to just be a coach, like just a life coach. I want to, it is in health. It's in physical and mental health. And that's when I decided to do the health coach qualification. So the school that I studied with are called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. They're based in New York. You can do it online. And it was, the materials were phenomenal. Like I did my degree via the Open Uni, and they were like, wow, amazing. I've done other courses since then that have been pants, but IIN were fantastic. So if you're interested in health coaching, or they do short modules as well, they even have people like Deepak Chopra and Mark Hyman, who, who's a doctor in the space, and lots of other really well-known people do modules and stuff. I'd encourage you to have a look at that, actually, and just see what tickles your fancy, and related to your journey.
That's great. Thank you for that. Okay, so another question from Mark is around the fact that he's vegan, and he's wondering what other foods other than soya would work.
Oh, okay. So let me just, because I have, oh gosh, what have I done? Yeah, let me just pull my notes, because I do have notes that I didn't read. Okay, so we have, so this is the serotonin foods. Edamame, which we know are soy, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, oats. With oats, I would go for the less refined, the better. So, steel cut rolled oats would be great. Spinach, watercress, mushrooms, and broccoli. And Mark, I can send those to you after this, if you like.
Great.
Awesomeness.
Okay, and then Cornelia has a question, which is, what are your thoughts on supplements?
I think supplements are great. I will caveat this with what I would do. The number one thing I encourage my clients to do is to get a blood test done. So there are loads of different places out there that you can get them done. There's one called Thriva that I use, THRIVA. Before you take a supplement, you need to know what you're deficient in, if anything. So a lot of the time people go, I take a multivitamin just because. And it's like, well, are you deficient in anything? Don't know. So it's kind of like I like to empower people to become the architect of their own health and their own health journey. I'm only here to maybe give some information, but it's completely up to them what they do. So I would say get a Thriva or something similar test done, and you can get all of your vitals checked, so that you can even get your inflammation levels checked, vitamin B, B12, all of that, iron profile, lipid profile, kidney function, liver function, heart function, and even hormones, female hormones, male hormones, everything. And I would first get a big profile done. It does cost a little bit of money, but I think taking your health into your own hands is worth it. And then if you are low in something, I was low in iron recently, didn't know it. My hair was getting brittle at the ends. My nails were all kind of like breaking, and I was fatigued, and I was like, makes total sense. I'm iron deficient. I'm not eating as many animal products anymore. So then I looked into supplementation, Cornelia. I looked into the most bioavailable iron supplement, which was bisglycinate iron. You take it with vitamin C, and that enhances the effects. So I would say just take it into your own hands, figure out what you might or might not be deficient in, and then do a lot of research on supplementation and make sure you're getting them from a reputable source and that they are very bioavailable, because you might buy some from Amazon and they're using a crappy part of the plant or something that you've gotten the supplement from. So it's good to do research, and it's good to read reviews, and just make sure you're educating yourself on the most reputable brands.
Understood. Thank you.
No problem.